Looking at fleet modernization and maintenance, just like when you want to travel, you go to a motor park and you're checking out the fleet of cars or buses that they have, and you're saying, oh, will this take me from Lagos to maybe Abuja or Lagos to Benin? I don't think so. You see a scrappy looking vehicle, you don't want to board that. It's the same thing for air travelers, the kind of aircraft that airlines have. Air passengers do check that out, and so we're asking Sam Roger, who is Director Policy Research and Development, Femi Wash Limited, what is his assessment or firm the kinds of fleets he's found on different airlines in Nigeria. What's your assessment? How modern are the fleets that we have?
Okay, and you know there's a massive investment in that industry, and I think in the last 10 to 15 years, massive investment has been made in that industry. We have newer aircraft flying in Nigerian airspace. We have new licenses given to Nigeria, so you have more operators within the industry, which is a welcoming development, and the confidence in the Nigerian airspace has improved tremendously, particularly after the last air crash from two of those major airlines who were players in the industry for marketing purposes. I won't mention any name in particular. So I think there's improvement. The aircrafts are new investment. Some of those who are flying in the airspace locally, they are making new investments. They are bringing more aircraft. And the minister, in one of his roadmap to developing that industry, is equally thinking of how new licenses can be given out. More people can come into that industry. But what is important is that they look at the pricing regime that is suitable to Nigerians so that they can fly around or across the country.
Talking about pricing, you are making reference to money, because to maintain
yes, indeed.
Is not cheap. Yeah. Now, what do you think government can do to help the plight of airlines owners who spend so much when it comes to maintenance, and these things are done in foreign currency, and you have this issue of funds that are being trapped, that can be repatriated, especially for some of these foreign airlines. Even the local airlines, they are struggling when it comes to maintenance, because when it comes to the expenses, because it's not that cheap. Talk to us, what can be done to help the plight of airline owners, especially the local players?
I think the aviation industry is a capital-intensive industry. What is key from the government is to provide an enabling environment so that the operators in that industry, whatever they are entitled to or whatever need to be repatriated, particularly from those who are flying into the country, should be paid or should be remitted as at when due. Then for local operator, you must provide incentive so that they can fly more routes within the country. Then you need to upgrade some of the facilities in the airport in terms of the lighting system, in terms of the runway, so that people will have more confidence to procure more aircraft that can improve on air travel in Nigeria, so that they can make adequate return on investment.
Okay, we all know that funding is crucial, and the funding is not readily available because of how capital intensive the aviation industry is. But what can be done with the range of fleets that the airlines currently have to ensure that even if newer ones are not acquired, the ones that are there look well, so that there's kind of confidence and this kind of comfort you feel? You get into some aircraft and in your mind you're asking yourself, am I in a Molue or is there some kind of Molue on air? Because it doesn't look comfy, it doesn't even actually feel comfy.
All right, I think generally speaking, in the last 15 years or thereabout for local flight, there's improvement in terms of the kind of aircraft. Do you have smaller aircraft of specific industry? I don't want to mention name for marketing purpose. the aircrafts are not as bad as they seem to be, because maintenance is at the core of that industry. So once there are minimum thresholds, once you don't meet those safety standards, the aircraft are not allowed to move from ground level to the airspace. So, well, in the past, we have some aircraft that had some noise at the point of taking off and at the point of landing. Well, once they are on autopilot, there's stability. So, but that is not to say that we're not deserving of newer aircraft. But when you talk about investment in terms of cost of maintenance, cost of keeping the fleet, the cost of maintaining pilot, the cost of maintaining the crew, this is an expensive venture. So in my view, what is key is for the government to make those airport facility in terms of the investment they do to upgrade them, so that the carriers can fly more routes, and at the end of the day, some of them are able to break even and they can make return investment. So it will be a win-win situation. When the government invests to improve on the facility, then you can attract more investment, then you can have more aesthetic aircraft, according to Blessing, that is more deserving.
I think now you get to the point, because the engines will be very sound, yes. But we can liken that to a scrappy car with a very sound engine, but it's not looking beautiful. The seats are not very comfortable. You look inside and you're wondering what happened.
You make your preference. Let's look at the issue of aviation fuel, which is Jet A1. One of the things adding to the cost of operation is the cost of fueling. With the economic reality playing out now, inflation and all that, is looking like, not even looking like, the reality is the airlines will have to spend more on Jet A1. Talk to us. It shouldn't be like an homegrown solution to the issue of Jet A1, so that at least local production, just like we have diesel and the other likes, the raw products are here, the raw materials are here. If they are produced locally, even if it's a way to even encourage the local players, the cost of fueling to help their plight. What can be done, an homegrown solution?
No, I think essentially it's because of low investment in oil and gas in Nigeria. So if we have more refineries working, that will resolve the issues, even though oil and gas is priced internationally. But when you look at the exchange regime, vis-a-vis the dollar, which is like an international unit of measurement for currency, it looks very difficult local. Some that are flying into the country will procure their fuel from their home country, price with international, but when you now take it locally, it looks as if it's higher. But if you factor it with what you call purchasing power parity, the differences is not really much. But for local operators, when we have the likes of Dangote refineries, and the government has promised by 2024, some of the local refineries will be working, maybe the cost of aviation fuel will reduce minimally, and that will impact on the bottom line of companies doing business in that sector.
Everything boils down to money. So looking long term, how can airlines achieve an upgrade of their fleet, whether for having new ones or for maintaining? What long-term plan can we have to help them with that?
I think for most of those airlines, whether international or local, they will have strategic plan that is put in place. A minimum of 5-year strategic plan, I guess they will have. That strategic plan will talk about operation, we'll talk about manpower, to talk about fleet replacement and all that. So over time, once the fleets are beyond the regulatory framework for international travels, safety and flight, then those fleets are withdrawn to the manufacturer, which are upgraded in terms of engine. So I know that they will have strategic plan, a minimum of 5 years to 10 years to reflect those fleets. And I think those are standard practice within the industry that can sustain safety of the airspace.
One of the problems these airline operators are battling with is the issue of access to Forex. Because if you need to service your aircraft, you need access to foreign currency in dollars, in pounds, and all that. Do you think the government should create a special package or like a special policy to cater for the need of these airline operators? Some of them, what they do is to go to the open market to source for Forex and all that, and it's making it more expensive. Should there be a special arrangement in order to help their plight?
I do know for sure that there's a window that exists for that industry in terms of how they source foreign exchange. To what extent that has been successful in recent time, it's a different ball game, but I do know they have some window in which they can access Forex. So how that window is sustainable over a period of time, I'm not competent to speak on that, but I know generally that there's a window where they can source Forex for their operation. And I do know that they have a domiciliary account where they maintain part of their revenue abroad for maintenance, and they have a percentage of their money local. So the ratio I can't speak to here, but that window should be sustained, and we encourage the new minister to sustain that tempo so that more investment can come into that sector. Maintenance, safety is sustained, and one of the charge that he made, one of his pronouncements, is able to walk the talk so that the industry become more sustainable for investors.
What a call to the minister to walk the talk. That's from Sam Oruwuje. Thanks so much for your submission on this issue of aviation. I'm glad to have you join us. Hope that we'll have more of you after now.
Thank you very much indeed for having me.